short, sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. Really honored to be here. Thank you for having me here, Ex Fabula. Who in here loves hoop earrings? Gang, gang. Who doesn't leave home without their hoop earrings on? Who has extra pairs in their purse at work? Who loses at one and gets really sad? Awesome. Well, this story's for you. So it's 2019, and I am living in this super, super tiny little apartment off 24th and Wells. I'm raising my two boys alone. I'm a single mother. And for the first time in my adult life, I'm faced with having to figure out who I was again. I had dedicated my entire adult life up until this point, being a mom, and in two long-term failed relationships, and going to school. So I had no idea who I was anymore. And so I decided it was time to start over. And in the midst of that, trying to figure out a community that I could belong to. And I found that community in Luna, which is an art collective here in Milwaukee. We formed because we felt there was not enough representation for Latinx artists in the city, and we took matters into our own hands. Luna stands for Latinas Unidas en las Artes. And we began to produce all of our own shows. One show in particular we decided to produce was called Hoops. And we paid homage to hoop earrings, something that we all loved and cherished and adored. And so I have a background in marketing. That's my full-time job. And I asked all of the Luna members to come to my tiny little apartment to wear their biggest, baddest hoops. We were gonna have a party, which just meant a lot of wine. And I was going to photograph them in their hoop earrings. We would use these photos to promote the show. And we did that by changing all of our social media profile pics to these portraits I had taken. And then we would all share stories of what hoops meant to us. And so this created a lot of buzz. It gave us a very successful show. Most of the members sold all their artwork. And so we were really happy. But what it also did was gain the interest of other people who were not a member of Luna, and they also wanted their hoops portrait taken. So I held 2 open free sessions at this little pop-up Luna had at the time on Cesar Chavez Drive. And I got to meet people from all walks of life, people I've never met before, and it was a lot of fun. Fast forward a little bit, there was a young journalist at the time named Naisha Stone from Carved in Stone who asked to write a little piece about what I was doing. So she did, and she published it. Then the next day after publishing it, she reaches out to me and said, "Have you seen how many times this article has been shared?" And I said, "No, I haven't even logged into the internet yet." And so when I finally did, I looked, and this article had been shared over 10,000 times at that point. And so it was shocking because I had no clue that this would happen. And it was beautiful at the same time because this article was being shared, but at the same time, people were sharing their own personal stories of what hoop earrings meant to them. It had reached Australia, South Africa, the UK, all around the country of the United States, and more. You can go to my website and see those screenshots, actually. So, yeah, so it blew up, and I was not ready for that. And it gained a lot of interest from people outside of the city, all over the country, of them wanting me to come to their city and do the same thing. So I started working with a curator in Chicago, and she hand-selected 15 individuals for me to photograph, and the day before the world shut down, I photographed that first group. Fast forward, once the world healed, I flew out to New York, photographed the project in Brooklyn, Albany. The following year, went to Los Angeles in a neighborhood called Boyle Heights and held the session there. At this time, it is now called the Hoops Project. before I had no name for it. So it's been a journey at the point of Los Angeles, and I never took a day of that for granted because people trust me with their stories. I'm able to listen to the voices of Black and brown, predominantly women, and uplift their voice and share their story and photograph them in beautiful ways. And so it's always been an honor. Last year, I became the first Latina artist in residence at the Pfister Hotel, like they mentioned. And I got to wake up every single day and work on hoops and had all these beautiful people of color coming into the studio, overtaking the Pfister and getting their photograph taken. It was amazing. And then I had a solo exhibition featuring 63 works at Marne. That's last year as well. The world premiere play of Hoops premiered. That's a whole separate story. But yeah, I had never in my wildest imagination would I ever think this would happen from my tiny living room to where it got to then. And then in the midst of all that, the father of my son passed away. And so while I'm celebrating, I'm also grieving, and I'm still grieving. And so this year is very intentional about my rest and the pace of which I'm doing things. And taking care of family and my son. And so I'm still working on hoops. I refuse to let it go. And so this year I get to fly out to Boston because the Hoops play is premiering in Boston, in a city I have never been to in my life. And I get royalties for the rest of my life. What? And so do the stories of the people who I photographed will also get royalties every time this play is premiered. And I have another solo exhibition at the end of the year, and a museum has acquired one of my hoops pieces. So we will be in a museum, all big. And yeah, I wake up every single day grateful that I'm trusted with these stories and with these photographs. And if you're an artist like me, this is your sign to get up and do it. If you're scared, do it. If you're broke, that whole saying, just do it. And don't be afraid to start over and have a rebirth and figure out where you are going in life. Yeah, and that's it. Shout out to Hoops.